Sometime in March, the commanding officer suddenly called me and says that there is a competition or an exercise in Botswana in the month of June, and it is in the Kalahari Desert, and some 30 odd teams from across the world will participate. So we don't lose heart. Like they say, army marches on its stomach, which is very true. So there was a bit of a problem here because we were not getting what we were used to. But when we came back, the chief, General Padmanabhan, hosted a special reception for us. All 12 of us got the chief of army staff's commendation cards without any citation. So हुआ क्या कि Moolchand during his parachute descent, when the parachute doesn't open, so you have to open your reserve parachute. But by the time that happens, you lose a lot of height. You barely manage to deploy the parachute and land on both your feet. The reaction time is so less. So that is exactly what happened. Yeah. Should something happen, we will take them on and get them back also, our two boys. So we tried it out. We don't know exactly did it give us the required result, because finally both those terrorists were eliminated, because one of them then came out after a while firing. He was injured. The other one, more RL fire was brought down. Finally, the house was searched and his mortal remains were also found there, which I thought is very important. I had a very efficient Subedar Major. Okay. It was coincidentally from my own unit. Subedar Major Bhagwana Ram, retired as honorary captain. He was a battle casualty. He once came to me and he said कि साहब एक जवान है, अखनूर के पास के रहने वाला है, जैक्रिफ का है. I don't even recollect his name now. So name is not important. The incident is. Or there is a case of marital discord and he is under stress. Otherwise, we were treating him as normal, but people were monitoring. So he used to also do sentry duty. One fine day, it was थोड़ी सर्दियों की बात थी. आपको you had to wear your coat parka or down jacket etc. South Kashmir की बात थी. I got to know early morning that sir, he has attempted suicide.
आपने एक और बहुत बड़ा जो है, you were handpicked to lead a team of commandos, some exercise called Airborne Africa. और वहां से भी वो भी that exercise was world over, teams आई थी करीब 28 teams from all the continents, and Indian team which participated first time in that event came out as a winner under your leadership or as a team leader. वो थोड़ा बताओ क्या इवेंट होती है और किस तरीके से आपने मैनेज नहीं किया, मैं तो कह रहूँगा आपने किस तरीके से एफर्ट डाला और एग्जीक्यूट किया उस सारी एक्सरसाइज को, सो दैट यू बिकम.
Sir, so this was 2002, I would say March 2002, if I remember correctly, when Op Parakram was still on and the unit was 100% strength. We were in Northern Command, deployed somewhere. Things were getting slightly better in terms of the situation with the adversary. It was not as bad as soon after the Parliament attack and soon after the mobilization. Things were getting better. It seemed that the balloon may not go up and things will improve. Sometime in March, the commanding officer suddenly called me and says that there is a competition or an exercise in Botswana in the month of June, and it is in the Kalahari Desert, and some 30 odd teams from across the world will participate. And Army headquarters or the chief has tasked us, and it seems we got to know exactly the words of the then chief, late General Padmanabhan, that we have a desert special forces unit. Task them, let us see how do they perform. They keep on training in the deserts. I expect them to do well. We will not select from across the army. We will task them. So this has come as a task to us to participate and do our best and win this competition in Kalahari Desert of Botswana. Understood, sir, and I told him I'll get back to you, sir. Give me some time to think about it. Initial reaction in the mind was, how will we compete? Because African athletes, American athletes, European athletes. Against them, at least till then, the Indian athletes, so to say, had not done well. But very soon, the realization happened that it is not athletes versus athletes, it is Indian special forces versus the other special forces. And we are very confident of what kind of special forces we are, what kind of training and operational exposure we have to boast of. So we'll take it on head on, and we'll do our best. So the instructions came in writing. We got to know about the whole structure of the competition. It had endurance, it has airborne parachute jump, it had navigation, it had casualty evacuation, it had surveillance, it had firing from different weapons, different style of firing. So it was a combined exercise or competition to test your special forces skills. And the participation was 1 officer and 4 other ranks, and 2 teams were to participate. So 5 plus 5, 10. So had a word with the commanding officer and requested him to give me 3 of the of course, all officers are good, outstanding, in fact, but whosoever the best he could spare. So he gave me 3 officers, and we said we want 40 best Jawans. There was a rank structure also, so we had to have some corporal equivalent and some sepoy or commando equivalent, some sergeant equivalent. So we selected them, and since it was in deserts, we took the permission and de-inducted from Northern Theatre to our base in Rajasthan and started training there. I was the overall in charge of this training come preparation. And since these were some of the best boys, and we had to finally zero on to 2 officers and 8 best men and make 2 teams, it was more of a, cutting down from that best 40, keeping all these parameters in mind. We were doing it day in and day out, every day. Again, peak of summers, we prepared, and the commanding officer came only because we were operationally deployed. He came for the final selection test to somewhere near Pokhran. We did the selection. A brigadier from the special forces from Army headquarters, he oversaw the selection. And the results were all very, very objective, because it was a very clear competition. Time and firing results, etc., were to be seen, and that is how we made 2 teams.
And who was the CEO that time, and that brigadier who came from Army?
It was Brigadier PC Katoch, who later was a corps commander also. He was from 1 Para Special Forces. He oversaw the selection process or the final test which we conducted.
I know.
And since it was peak summers at that time, it was around 15th May when we conducted the final test. While the exercise was to be in daytime, we had to do our tests in darkness at night, because it was so hot and humid in May. We would have dehydrated had we done that entire exercise of 3 days in daytime. So we used to take harbor during day, rest during day, and compete during night, or conduct the tests during night. So we did this over 3 days and 3 nights and selected 2 best teams. When we went to Botswana, we got 1 full week of orientation training, so to say, including 1 practice jump, because the aircrafts and the equipment for paratrooping was different. And the eating habits of Botswana are very different, and this was for most of us the first exposure out of India. So by the time this week finished, and when the competition was about to start, now what had happened was it was all boiling over. We were not getting the chai that we were used to, because they would only give us coffee. There was no chai there. We were not getting any roti, which we were used to. We were not getting the chawal the way we were used to. And there was no dal or sabji. It was all very different, boiled vegetables or steak for non-vegetarians. The chicken was differently made. So food intake wise, we were on quite a low. And just before the competition was to start, actually, some of these outstanding boys, they sort of, कुछ भी करके एक चाय और रोटी और दाल खिलवा दो, कैसे मिल जाए. नहीं तो बड़ा मुश्किल है. Anyway, somehow I motivated them that till now you have done so fantastically well. We are at the brink of starting this competition. मैं तुम्हें सब कुछ दे सकता हूँ, ये दाल रोटी चाय और चावल जैसा तुम्हें चाहिए वो मैं बंदोबस्त नहीं कर सकता। तो अभी तुम्हें बस 5 दिन की और बात है, अभी जो है एनर्जी चाहिए, खाना है, जैसा मिल रहा है खा लो। Once we are in the competition, then it was as it is MREs, and we had to cook it ourselves. Meals ready to eat, packed, dehydrated food. It was the US military style of, packages that they gave us. वो सबके लिए बराबर है. So अभी don't lose heart. Like they say, army marches on its stomach, which is very true. So there was a bit of a problem here because we were not getting what we were used to. But anyway, these were very, very highly trained and motivated boys. Probably it was more out of disappointment that they shared this feeling with me. They overcame this, and luckily we could. Colonel Krishnadas was a big, factor in this. His team did exceedingly well, and both our teams did exceedingly. We were overall winners. So when we came back, the chief, General Padmanabhan, hosted a special reception for us. All 12 of us got the Chief of Army Staff's commendation cards without any citation, which I feel is a very unique achievement for a 12 chiefs commendation cards to 12 participants, 100%, without any citation written. He was so happy at the accomplishment. I will also give you an example of how important unit is to all of us. The chief also gave us a 1 lakh rupees check, and he said, this is for your regimental fund, for the regimental fund of 10 para. Believe me, sir, this 1 lakh check for our regimental fund gave me and most of us more happiness than that 12 commendation cards.
Yeah,
And once we went back to the unit, we said, इस 1 लाख रुपए का ना कुछ यूनिट को तगड़ा कुछ खरीद के देंगे हम. एंड वी डिस्कस्ड, एंड हमारी यूनिट बहुत रस्टिक और बेसिक यूनिट थी. तब भी पानी मटके से ही पीती थी 2002 तक. लेकिन तब तक वाटर कूलर्स का जमाना पुराना हो चुका था बाकी यूनिट्स में. तो वी somehow convinced our CEO that sir, time has come now to modernize a bit. Let us use this 1 lakh rupees to buy Blue Star water coolers for all the companies. And I think the budget was at that point in time for about 95,000. We bought this, and we felt so proud कि हमने यूनिट के लिए our water cooler खरीदे हैं. So that is the esprit de corps, or that पलटन के लिए जो एक फीलिंग होती है ना सर, उसने जितनी खुशी दी वो मेरे को अभी भी याद है, मैं बयान नहीं कर सकता. So
I believe during this training आपका जो पहला ही कमांडो मूलचंद जो है, he fractured his ankle, and then still both the team always, Krishnadas team came first and you always followed him as a second.
Yes, absolutely. So
among the US, UK and France para special forces.
Yes. So हुआ क्या कि मूलचंद during his parachute descent, when the parachute doesn't open, so you have to open your reserve parachute. But by the time that happens, you lose a lot of height. You barely manage to deploy the parachute and land on both your feet. The reaction time is so less. So that is exactly what happened with him. And on your legs, haversack battle loads आपके पैरों पे बंधे होते हैं. You are supposed to release it so that the pithu of your battle loads touches the ground before your feet touch the ground. If that happens, तब आपको चोट नहीं लगेगी. लेकिन अगर आपके रुकसैक आपके पैरों से बंधा है तो आपकी लैंडिंग खराब होगी. अब क्योंकि उसकी पैराशूट में इमरजेंसी हुई, बिकॉज ऑफ विच रिजर्व पैराशूट के लिए आपको खुद हैंडल ऑपरेट करना पड़ता है, फिर वो डिप्लॉय होता है. उसमें जो टाइम जाया हुआ, he barely got the reaction time, and by the time he realized, he couldn't release the hook, and the battle loads were still entangled with his legs or tied to his legs or secured to his legs, I would say. And that is how he landed, and he fractured his it was not exactly a fracture, but a very bad sprain. It was absolutely swollen. So he was out of the competition. Now the rules of the competition said that if such a thing happens, then the battle loads of that particular casualty have to be carried by the balance of the team and the weapons. So his weapon and his battle loads were carried by me and the other 3 in my team all through the competition. And on top of it, they also had a penalty system wherein they said that this is considered like a dropout. So they penalized us for every event. That's how technically we lost out on the points. But what stood out was that all these 27 other teams wondered as to how we still managed to come first or second in every event, despite having one man less, 4 of us carrying the loads of that one man, including additional weapon and battle loads which we were supposed to carry. I
So
think we had
this guy didn't walk with you at all?
He couldn't. He had to be admitted, and there was a little plaster which was put on his. And coincidentally, our jump, my team's jump, was one of the last jumps. So it is very rare for even paratroopers to see a parachute not opening emergency. I have not seen other than I have not seen because I was part of the jump, so I didn't realize that this has happened. So till date, I have not seen physically with my own eyes. All the participants and all the organizers got to see it that day, and they appreciated how Moolchand activated his reserve, because that sometimes अगर आपका अपने माइंड पे कंट्रोल ना हो, आप डर गए, पैनिक कर गए, तो you can fall to your death. But this boy did a good job, so everybody appreciated, and despite that, they penalized us. So that was unfortunate, but at the end of it, we came out overall winners, so we didn't mind it.
I think the one of the segment of this exercise where you did wonders was that carrying the casualty. That 50 kg dead weight, and I believe you strategize in such a way so that both Krishnadas team and your team came first and second.
Absolutely. So in this event, despite that penalty, despite that we came overall first. With the penalty points being deducted from our timing, even then we came first. So that kind of margin we had given to the others. Basically, if you innovate, they say mind is like a parachute. It works best when it is open. You keep an open mind. You be receptive to ideas of others, your comrades. Don't stay fixated. Keep on innovating. Keep on thinking how best you can do it. You'll come out with a solution. You will find a solution to a problem. All of us are used to stretchers of a particular type. The stretchers have those, soft bed kind of a thing in between, thick, cloth type of a thing with two, supporting arms, wooden arms or metal arms. But what they gave us was just two thick bamboo poles kind of a thing and some rope. So we couldn't make that type of a stretcher, and they gave us two concrete slabs. The width of the slab was very narrow. It was 50 kg, but the width was very narrow. So the moment the width is narrow, if you make a stretcher which is wide, that slab will sway when you carry this. So most of the teams which did the mistake, they made the standard stretcher. What we realize is you will have to make it. आप 4 लोग कैरी करने वाला स्ट्रेचर नहीं बना सकते. आपको ऐसा बनाना जिसमें आपके नेक पे उसके स्ट्रेचर के वो फिट हो जाए और 2 लोग कैरी करें. जब 2 लोग कैरी करेंगे तो वो स्वे नहीं करेगा. अगर वो स्वे नहीं करेगा तो आपकी एफिशिएंसी ऑफ योर मशीन व्हिच इज कैरिंग दिस विल बी बेटर and the result will be better. That is what we did, and both our teams excelled. And many of these teams, European teams and African teams, their casualty, this concrete slab was swaying like anything, so they were barely moving. Then the American team had a fight. They had a fist fight, serious argument in between. So yeah, it was good fun to see, and we overtook a lot of other teams.
Good to hear that. Good to hear that the other team had a fight. And I believe you even innovated that because Krishnadas mentioned to me that you had a equal height people.
Yeah. So
different height people, then there is a problem.
Yes. So again, all these things probably come out of experience, or when you take your training seriously. When you train hard, the challenges surface, right? So when we were in those 2 months of time that we got when we were training for this was a very major event, casualty evacuation. And we knew that this is something which we normally don't practice for 10 kilometers. So when we were practicing, we realized that unless all four are of same height, if there is mismatch in the height, again, the efficiency of this machine, the output will go for 6 for a toss. That is how Krishna Das's team became a shorter team. We used to call it the Chota team. And my team became the Lamba team because I was the tallest, others were 5'11" and 6, and he was like 5'6", 5'7" kind of height, all of them. And of course, they were slightly tougher team also, and we averaged out. So, yeah, but it helped us in winning.
In fact, I would like to show those media coverage which you had that time. This is super media coverage, guys. That time when it was all over the newspapers, this event was covered. And the heading is wonderful, which says that US Rambos, no match for Indian commandos. What a heading. And this is what the Indian strength is of training. And what you really said, our academies makes the wonderful
Absolutely.
commandos.
Absolutely.
So after this, you commanded this commando battalion of RR, which is the only battalion basically among the Rashtriya Rifle. And it's a mix of everyone. How was that experience? Because being a para special forces officer and then commanding this heterogeneous mix of people, but all commandos, I'm sure you must have had something very unique experience of. Would you like to
absolutely, absolutely, sir. So I'll just tell you two, one operational story and one human story in this. Firstly, it was fantastic. Men from about 45 different units.
Yeah.
And officers from the entire regiment of parachute and special forces, all units, and Jackali, and of course ASC engineers, etc. So during one of the operations, there were two terrorists who had been cornered by us and local RR unit. Firefight was going on. This was in South Kashmir. But there was a kind of a stalemate. The commander was also somewhere very close by. I was next to him. The other CE was next to him. We were doing our planning. They were cornered. Encounter was going on. But we were not getting confirmed report about these two militants getting hit because of fire, because firing was coming from there. And we couldn't see them clearly. The visuals were not clear.
Which area it was?
It was South Kashmir, close to Avantipura.
Okay.
It was hardened. Everything was confirmed that there are two trapped inside, and we had to get them without losing any of our own boys. Now, somehow the commander wanted. In fact, we thought about it, that can somebody close in safely and lob grenades into this house, grenades in large numbers, because the way the lay of the ground was, the way the firing was happening, we were not certain that the small arm fire or the rocket launchers that we were firing were having potent results. Probably they had somewhere where they could hide, is what we thought. And the lay was such that we could not place.
Your sound gone. Yes.
So in my QRT, we used to carry the bomb disposal suits also with us. The BD suits are meant for disposing a bomb, but they provide a lot of protection against shrapnels, etc. Not exactly well protected against small arms fire. We, in our discussion, internal discussion within my QRT, like I said, none is better than all of us. You know, your suggestion can come from NCO who's well experienced. Somebody suggested that, sir, क्यों ना अपन try करें, अपने QRT के 2 बंदे जाएंगे, BD suit पहन के close in करेंगे, कम से कम protection तो रहेगा, और let's lob as many grenades as possible, as was being thought of. So this is something which at least I had not seen to be, because it makes your movement very lethargic and cumbersome, this BD suit. So, but the lay was such that we knew that we can give them firing, cover fire if required, and extricate them also if something happens. So we tried this out, and both these my QRT boys could close in. We were, of course, just about 50 meters away from them, taking cover. For these 50 odd meters, they were in a way exposed, but they were absolutely covered in the BD suit. They closed in. We had given them 6 grenades each. They lobbed these 12 grenades into this house, came back.
And this BD suit protects you 100% from the...
It protects you from shrapnel 100%, but not 100% from a small arm,
okay,
AK-47 bullet, which is flying at 600 meters per second. But then there are some calculated risks which are taken in operations, and you take some chances. So we still thought we can try, because we had so much of firepower all around.
Yeah.
Should something happen, we will take them on and get them back also, our 2 boys. So we tried it out. We don't know exactly did it give us the required result, because finally both those terrorists were eliminated, because one of them then came out after a while firing. He was injured. The other one, more RL fire was brought down. Finally, the house was searched and his mortal remains were also found there. We are not too sure whether the grenades work, but I'm just trying to bring out that innovation in operations, or keeping your thinking caps on, trying out something different. Every situation is different, is very important. So we got both the terrorists in this particular operation, and there were no injuries to any of our boys. So this is one operational story, but more importantly, I want to share a human story, which I thought is very important. I had a very efficient Subedar Major.
Okay.
He was coincidentally from my own unit. Subedar Major Bhagwana Ram, retired as honorary captain. He was a battle casualty. He once came to me and he said कि साहब एक जवान है, अखनूर के पास के रहने वाला है, जैक्रिफ का है. I don't even recollect his name now. So name is not important. The incident is. और there is a case of marital discord and he is under stress. So and he's just returned from leave. I've got to know about it. मेरे को पता लग गया senior जैसे, so मैं आपके पास ले आऊं. So I and Subedar Major spoke to him separately in my office for a while. Then I told him that we will organize your counseling at MH Jammu. We will send you specially on leave. It is better to sort out this discord. These things happen. Everything will work out fine for you. We organized it. And then onwards, we used to meet him off and on whenever, and we would give him frequent leaves to resolve his issues. He was newly married, just about 2 years in marriage, but they had serious problems. The MH Jammu thing didn't work out. We also then tried Command Hospital, Udhampur. In fact, I myself spoke to the psychiatrist, and you are aware that there are these cells to do counseling in our hospitals, so there also both of them went. We organized it for them, arranged it for them, and then he came back. He told me everything, that हाँ sir, समझाया, हम पूरी कोशिश करेंगे, etc. And at the same time, I had taken a very considered decision in discussion with his team commander that we will still continue to use him for operations. We will not make him feel that we are keeping him away from using his weapon, and all other duties will continue normally. Only thing is, we'll keep a close watch. Team commander, myself, senior JCO, and our Subedar Major included. We keep on talking to him. And एक मैं अपनी यूनिट में कहता था, हर प्रॉब्लम का हल है, प्रॉब्लम बता के तो देखो. That used to be my kind of tagline from the HR point of view. And to straight look into their eyes and tell, आप प्रॉब्लम बताओ, हल होगी. There is a solution to every problem. Just
of course it is.
Especially your personal problems.
Yeah.
Have faith in the system. Have faith in your officers, your Subedar Major, JCOs, and me. हम आपका हर प्रॉब्लम हल करेंगे. So we were very confident that we'll handle the situation. चलता रहा, कई महीने गुजर गए. फिर this boy was still with us, and he would tell us. Otherwise, we were treating him as normal, but people were monitoring. So he used to also do sentry duty. One fine day, it was थोड़ी सर्दियों की बात थी. आपको you had to wear your coat parka or down jacket, etc. South Kashmir की बात थी. I got to know early morning that sir, he has attempted suicide. So I rushed to the company immediately, but I got to know he's not hurt. So, but I didn't know the details of it. Went to the site to see. By the time he had been brought to the battalion headquarters, so we crisscrossed each other. I went to the site. The company was about an hour away. Met the team commander, understood what had happened there, and then I came back to the battalion headquarters to meet this boy. By the time I had confirmed input that उसको कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है. लेकिन उसने किया क्या सर? He decided that it is time to end his life. So he was a sentry, and sentries used to be in buddy pairs.
Yeah.
So he was standing about 10 meters away. Naturally, you don't stand neck to neck or shoulder to shoulder. You have to cover a little larger area.
Yeah.
Other buddy told us what he heard. He said, sir, उसके आखिरी शब्द थे गोली फायर करने के पहले, जो भी उसका नाम था कि विजय, मान लो ये राजेश है, तो राजेश ने विजय को बोला कि विजय, सूबेदार मेजर साहब और सीओ साहब को मेरा सॉरी कहना. And then he shot at himself. Only thing is that one single shot that he fired missed him completely. It just went somewhere.
Oh.
But he fell down. He fell down because he thought that he's been hit.
Oh.
At that time, there was commotion. It was early morning, about 5:30. There were others. They came, overpowered him, took his weapon away, slapped him and all, realized that nothing had happened to him and got him out of that situation. तो मैं वापस आया, तब उसको मेरे ऑफिस में बुलाया गया. बिल्कुल भला चंगा, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ उसको. तो मैंने उसको एसएम साहब को बोला, एसएम साहब इसको AK-47 दो. उसको AK-47 दी. मैंने उसका नाम भूल गया, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, मान लो राजेश उसका नाम है. मैं बोला राजेश, ये लो AK-47. लेकिन मैं बोलूं, अगर एक बार और कोशिश करेगा ना, ऊपर वाले ने तेरे को लंबी उम्र दी है, लेकिन इस बार तो बिल्कुल माफ कर दिया ऊपर वाले ने. इस बार कोशिश करेगा तो चोट भी लगेगा, मरेगा भी नहीं, जिएगा लेकिन दर्द होगी. ले वेपन, कर लो कोशिश, लेकिन मौत तेरी लिखी ही नहीं, कर ले कोशिश. नहीं साहब, गलती हो गई, नहीं करूंगा. Then I asked him, एक बात बता, when you had decided, and this is what you said in the end, you can't even shoot at yourself. What happened? He said, साहब, मैं माइंड इतना कंफ्यूज था कि मैं डरा भी हुआ था, लेकिन मैं अपने आप को मारना भी चाहता, तो हाथ भी कांप रहा था. तो in his jacket there were 2 holes. The bullet had gone through his jacket, but it had missed his body completely.
Oh my God.
So it was a close shave.
Yeah.
And so I said, फिर तू गिरा क्यों? नहीं, कहते नहीं सर, मैंने सुना था जब गोली लगती है दर्द नहीं होता है, लेकिन मैंने सोचा लगी होगी तो मैं गिर गया. These are human stories, sir, right? So anyway, अब कभी ऐसा मत करना, लेकिन तेरे को मैं डॉक्टर साहब के पास भेजूंगा, ट्रीटमेंट तेरे को जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये ठीक नहीं है जो तुमने किया, बहुत गलत किया. एंड बहुत रोया, सॉरी वगैरह बोला. नाउ I had already reported to the Colonel Adam of the Victor Force and others, that attempted suicide. But by that time they were also aware that एक ही गोली फायर हुई और उस आदमी को खरोच तक नहीं आई. Now, attempted suicide के ऊपर बड़ा ऐसा एक वो होता है कि अरे भाई क्या हो गया. तो I was given the advice कि why are you reporting it like this? It's just an accidental fire. The boy doesn't even have a scratch. But I had taken a very thoughtful and considered decision that I want to fill his AFMS 10 form required for psychiatric evaluation. I had seen him enough, and despite all the counseling, if he's doing this, tomorrow this boy will run amok and kill somebody else.
Yes.
Hide this just because I want to have good statistics that I Yes. So I said, nothing doing, sir. I'm reporting it as it was an attempted suicide. So what if he was not hurt? We sent him immediately to 92 base hospital. He underwent treatment. He went back to his parent unit. Naturally, he became low medical category. But later, for some years, I followed up on him. He led a good life. Probably at least till then, he was not divorced. Things may have improved. So these are the kind of challenges which come in leadership roles. So there was a sense of accomplishment that we could impress upon his psyche, but at the same time, there was a sense of failure that finally when a human being decides to do something wrong, While he did say sorry to his CO and Subedar Major, but he did it, and it was just providence which saved him.
Yeah.
So
But one thing what you said is that you went with your conscience to report that, and the truth, otherwise the guilt will remain that you reported wrongly, and the सच्चाई के साथ रहने से ना आपको तो नींद अच्छे से आएगी, और and even universe also helps you to sort out that problem.
Absolutely.
Very right. And it's really a lesson to be for the viewers whosoever are listening, even uniformed people listening, that should understand that what is needed in such a scenario. Brigadier Ranade, that आप एक बड़े ही ट्रेन्ड स्काई डाइवर भी हैं, जिसमें आपने मोर देन 100 आपने स्काई डाइविंग की हुई है, वो भी कॉम्बैट स्काई डाइवर. तो एक स्टैटिक स्काई डाइविंग है, देन कॉम्बैट स्काई डाइविंग है. ये दोनों का एक तो हमारे व्यूअर्स को फर्क बताइए, और दूसरा किन सिनेरियो में ये स्पेशली इन द आर्म फोर्सेस में कहाँ इनका बेसिकली यूज होता है, अदर देन दैट इट्स एडवेंचरस एक्टिविटी.
सो सर, आर्मी में चाहे पैराट्रूपिंग हो या स्काई डाइविंग हो, ये एडवेंचर के लिए नहीं की जाती. दिस इज डन प्योरली फॉर ऑपरेशनल पर्पसेस. बोथ आर यूज्ड फॉर insertion of a body of troops into enemy territory so that they can land safely and carry out a special operation. Now, static line is a normal parachute jump which is done normally from a height of about 1200 to 1300 feet. जब आप लो हाइट से जंप करेंगे और अगर आपका पैराशूट इमीडिएटली डिप्लॉय हो जाएगा, तो जब 1200 फीट से आप नीचे आते हैं तो आप एक छोटे एरिया में सारे इकट्ठा हो सकते हैं, जल्दी रीऑर्गेनाइज हो सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन मूव फॉर द नेक्स्ट द एक्चुअल टास्क फॉर व्हिच यू जंप. So when a large body of troops has to be inserted into an adversary's enemy territory for carrying out the task, it is normally done by normal parachuting, which is called static line parachute. इसमें पैराशूट खुद खुलता है, क्योंकि एक लाइन से अटैच्ड होता है एयरक्राफ्ट से, रोप से, और वो पैराशूट खुद खुलता है. आप बस आपने जंप मारना है, वो खुद खुलता है, और फिर आपने लैंड करना है बताए हुए तरीके से, जिससे आपको चोट ना लगे और आप अपना अगला टास्क करने के लिए सक्षम रहें. स्काई डाइविंग इज द एडवेंचर टर्म, बट इन आर्मी वी कॉल इट द फ्री फॉल. एंड कॉम्बैट फ्री फॉल मीन्स दैट you carry your battle loads, a small body of troops, say 20 men, if they exit an aircraft at 20,000 feet, and if the winds are favorable, supposing they are flying 5 kilometer or 10 kilometer inside our international boundary within our own country, and the aim is to infiltrate this body of troops 10 kilometers into the enemy territory with favorable winds, this 10 plus 10, 20 kilometers can be covered in the air by free fallers or combat fallers or skydivers, whatever you may call them, by opening their parachute. If they've jumped from 20,000, they open immediately, say at 19,500 feet. These parachutes are differently designed. They have a glide ratio. They glide like a small glider. And by giving it the right direction with the help of compass, etc., or GPS, you can, there is a calculation required, keeping the wind directions in mind, and you can land at the designated drop zone. So this is a smaller body of troops covering more distance in air to insert into a designated target area, and from there doing a specialized task of raid and then exfiltrating by some other means. This is the difference between the two. It is easier to learn parachuting. It is little more complex to learn skydiving. हम OJT कहते हैं ना, on the job training. I would say skydiving में on the job training is probably one of the most difficult on the job training, because आप जब एयरक्राफ्ट से एग्जिट करते हैं तब से लेके अगर आपने मान लो 10,000 फीट से एग्जिट किया और आपका प्लान है कि आप 7,000 फीट पे आपने पैराशूट ओपन करना है, तो आपको 3,000 फीट तक यू विल फॉल फ्री थ्रू द एयर विदाउट द पैराशूट बीइंग ओपन. So 3000 feet would normally take about 20 seconds of fall. So ये जो 20 सेकंड ऑफ फ्री फॉल है, उसकी ट्रेनिंग आपको थ्योरेटिकल ट्रेनिंग ग्राउंड पे या फिल्म दिखा के या आपको एक्सप्लेन करके इंस्ट्रक्टर दे सकता है, लेकिन जो ऑन द जॉब ट्रेनिंग आपने वो 20 सेकंड करनी है, वो आपने खुद ही करनी है, आपको कोई हेल्प करने वाला नहीं है. Whatever you've learned in theory on ground, by doing some practice, by making those positions as to how you will position your body in air, you've learned it. So on the job, you're doing it by ensuring that you have control over your senses. You have the ability to control your fear. You are oriented. You have your wits about yourself. So it is one of the best ways to do on the job training, as long as you have your wits about yourself. So most of the commandos are able to do it well. Some find it difficult, then they are not allowed to continue in the training and sent back to their units. It is slightly challenging. I believe nowadays the instructors are jumping along with the students to see them throughout the fall, but when we did our training that time, such things were not happening. Instructors would see us from the aircraft only. So पहले 10-15 सेकंड आप आराम से स्पॉट कर सकते हो कि कैसा इंडिविजुअल का फॉल, इज ही स्टेबल, इज ही पैनिकिंग, is he in control of his body, is he doing what has been trained to do, will he be safe in deploying his parachute. So that is it is slightly more complex, but very adrenaline rush kind of a feeling, wonderful feeling.
In fact, you mentioned about that fear component is of course in that is there. So कुछ बताएंगे आपके इनिशियल ट्रेनिंग के टाइम या ऑपरेशंस के टाइम और एक्सरसाइज के टाइम, कोई यानी ऐसी इंसिडेंट which you still remember about yourself or others?
Skydiving में sir, what I'll say is what I have had a minor emergency which I overcame, but there were my comrades and friends who had some serious emergencies in parachute during the skydiving training. More often than not, most of us are able to do the right thing by handling an emergency in the right way. Again, it is based on good training. जैसे एक एविएटर अपने एयरक्राफ्ट की डिफरेंट कंटिंजेंसीज को हैंडल करने के लिए एक उसकी ड्रिल सेट होती है, चेकलिस्ट होती है कि अगर ऐसी इमरजेंसी हो तो ऐसा करूंगा, वैसे ही एक स्काईडाइवर की when he is falling free, these are called high speed emergencies. There are about 20 or 30 different situations which can occur. So he is mentally tuned to handle that situation कि अगर मेरा पैराशूट टोर्न हो गया तो मैंने क्या करना है, अगर मेरा पैराशूट मेरी बॉडी पे रैप हो गया तो मैंने क्या करना है, तो या मेरा पैराशूट डिप्लॉय नहीं हुआ तो मैंने रिजर्व पैराशूट कैसे खोलना है. तो ऐसे हमारे कोर्स के दौरान या कभी आगे जब मैंने जंप्स किए, कुछ एक साथियों के साथ ऐसा हुआ, बट उन्होंने सिचुएशन अच्छी हैंडल की एंड वी नेवर हैड एनी इंजरीज बिकॉज ऑफ दैट और एनी फेटेलिटीज बिकॉज ऑफ nothing more to add as far as skydiving is concerned. So these are all wonderful experiences mostly.
Certainly, and this would be the most exciting also, if I'm not sure.
Yes.
आपने एक बड़ा ही again you were I think handpicked to do a course which you call it a captain course in USA, and also you visited Australia as a part of NDA when you were adjutant. So you have seen European and American special forces. How do you see between the Indian forces and the American forces as far as weaponry is concerned, their training is concerned, their mental or emotional or physical fitness, vis-a-vis that European forces, American forces and Indian forces?
Equipment wise, for sure, the Americans are ahead of us, naturally, because it's one of the most developed countries. Yes, and it is through its research and development over the years, they've invested so much of money. It's a rich country in defense industry that most of the defense equipment which is produced in the world largely comes from the United States. So we can't technologically, we can't say that we are better than them, because a lot of equipment we are buying from them and from such developed countries. While yes, in today's times, Atmanirbharta is a very, very big thing, and it is happening, and very soon we will be Atmanirbhar. But equipment-wise, they are better. In terms of experience also, I would say American Special Forces have a lot of experience, thanks to what is happening in Afghanistan and what has happened in Iraq in yesteryears. They have a lot of experience. But the kind of experience which Indian Special Forces have, be it in Jammu and Kashmir, be it in Northeast, be it in Operation Pawan, especially right from 84 onwards, when Siachen problem started, our special forces have been exposed to all kinds of operations, and which continues even today. So our special forces, because of the experience, because of excellent training standards, fantastic culture and ethos which has been established, and the kind of soldiers that we get from our recruit centers, the kind of officers we get from our academies, we are absolutely at par with all these developed countries. We may be even better. So, and when it comes to events like we spoke of exercise Airborne Africa, where all of them were there, we beat them. So we were better, at least in that event. Such an event happened a couple of years later. Again we were runners up. In fact, 10 ParaSF again party, we were runners up. South Africa was first. And again, there were many other countries, and our unit represented the Indian Special Forces, and it was the runners up. So why is it that our teams are doing so well? You heard of Cambrian Patrol? Indian Army sends teams from the infantry, and they were regularly bagging awards there against number of European countries and American participants in England, participating against a lot of British teams. Why are they doing it? Why probably? Very much it is the way our training institutes have developed over the years, be it the soldier training or be it the officer training. Our institutionalized training, all is at par with the best in the world. We are not lacking anywhere. Where we lack probably is we are still not so rich that we can afford everything. That is where some difference comes in terms of equipment, but otherwise we are no less. We are
so basically the mental toughness and the emotional toughness, we are no lesser than anybody else.
Less than any of the best. We are very good.
ये कुछ 2-3 क्वेश्चंस हैं जो व्यूअर्स ने पूछे हैं. They have, after seeing that flyer, they have registered their questions. So first thing, there are one gentleman who has asked about Captain Pawan Kumar of 10 ParaSF, another Colonel Prashant Sivaich, Saurya Chakra, and Brigadier Bhupender Hada, 10 ParaSF, Saurya Chakra. If you can talk about your interaction or any specific thing about them.
About these three gentlemen?
Yes. Captain Pawan Kumar, if you come across, Brigadier Hada and Colonel Prashant Sivaich.
Okay, so these are questions from those who follow your channel.
They follow a channel and they have asked about.
Right. So I'll start with Brigadier Bhupesh Hada, since he's my immediate junior, 2.5 years junior to me.
Okay.
So I've seen Bhupesh Hada right from the time that he was a captain.
Okay.
So there was a time in Kashmir when back-to-back 3 counter-terrorism operations, he was the team commander. That time I used to be the adjutant of the unit. And back-to-back there were 3 operations, all led by him. And in all, our unit got huge success. Very large number of terrorists were eliminated. In the third of these 3 operations, he got some splinter injuries also. Some grenade blast and splinters had injured him. So he was evacuated also. He came out absolutely hale and hearty after some recuperation. And he was awarded the Shaurya Chakra. In fact, as adjutant, I had drafted the citation, which was, of course, initiated by the commanding officer. And he probably deserved even more. An excellent officer who led from the front. And these are 3 back-to-back operations. Other than that, also, he had a lot of success. What is unique and noteworthy about the officer is that he continued in the same he continued his, excellence even up to the rank of a brigadier, commanded the brigade in Siachen. Very unique thing happened there, where he recovered a helicopter which had crashed there, and he and his boys took a lot of initiative and helped the aviators to recover this ALH, which was flown back from Siachen.
Oh.
And he has also summited the Mount Everest
Yes.
as a colonel. So he's now taken retirement. He's a veteran now, but outstanding officer.
You mentioned about recovering the Hapter. That was crashed in Siachen?
In Siachen, it was crashed. Luckily, there were no casualties, but the helicopter had suffered a lot of damage. It was covered extensively in the media.
Okay.
It was a very unique case where a crashed helicopter from Siachen was repaired and flown back. And of course, the aviators did a fantastic job, but the commander and his troops there deployed have done something very, very phenomenal. It was again a team effort. I keep on saying that none of us is better than all of us. That is one of the most important. None of these things are possible because of one person's initiative.
Absolutely.
They're all team efforts.
And he was the brigade commander at that point.
He was the brigade commander at that point. That's why a lot of credit goes to him. Yeah.
And which brigade it was there?
This was the Siachen brigade.
Okay.
The other two have not served with me because I'm senior to them, so we have not served together. So I will not be able to comment.
Okay. Perfect. But this is nice to know that you have been adjutant of Brigadier Hada and written his citation.
That was in the unit. It was in the unit. Absolutely.
Yeah. Of course. एक ये किसी ने पूछा है कि the role of SF battalion in modern warfare scenario involving precision capable strike by drones and technological warfare. What he is trying to say कि जब drones आ गए और technological warfare आ गया, उसमें does it require any change in the SF capabilities?
Very good question. So yes, means soldiering or army or armed forces have to keep on evolving. I mean, drone technology and the way drones are being used in warfare today, especially in the last 2-3 years, has changed the way warfare will be fought in future. Absolutely, no doubt. What is happening in Ukraine and in Russia is evident that both of them are using it. It makes the life of foot soldier, armored vehicles, troops in trenches extremely difficult. So in terms of special forces, what I'll say is special forces troops will be trained to use these drones for effect against the adversaries. In fact, that has already started. This will again become a capability. Special forces units will be equipped with small drones. They will use it in times to come, even in our context. They are already using it in counter-terrorism operations for surveillance purposes. Weaponized drones are not being used, but for surveillance purposes, it is being used extensively. So special forces will only benefit from this. But at the same time, when adversary is using it, everybody runs a risk of being a target, be it infantry in trenches, in pickets, be it armored vehicles, be it logistics vehicles. These videos are available on the social media. We are all seeing it, how deadly this weapon is, and how challenging it is to find a alternative to stop a weaponized drone, and how to overcome or how to keep yourself safe. It's a evolving challenge. Let's see what happens in times to come.
Brigadier Ranade, एक चीज जो we have missed very important part of your life, that you have commanded a sector also, RR sector, wherein 4 different RR unit, including ParaSF unit, and I think that is a privilege to command a sector in north, that is J&k sector, and that too is such a heterogeneous. एक तो आपने 31 RR कमांड किया जिसमें पूरी हेट्रोजीनियस ट्रुप्स थी. अभी तो आपको 4 बटालियन मिल गई जो हेट्रोजीनियस होंगी, उसके साथ साथ पैरा स्पेशल फोर्स. वो तो आई थिंक एक्सक्लूसिव एक्सपीरियंस होगा. उसी टाइम हुआ था वो जो आई थिंक जहां किसी पोस्ट पे फिदाइन अटैक हुआ था?
Correct. So, thank you for that question, sir. So, I was a brigade commander of a Rashtriya Rifle sector in North Kashmir from January 15 to May 17. So, little longest tenure, 29-30 months, 2.5 years really. So, 2-3 things I will explain for the viewers as to how these things are some life lessons, should I say. 20th January 15, I took over. We were launching back-to-back operations with 4 units and a special forces team with you of 9 para. I nearly had 5,500 troops. Hafruda forest and so many other thick forests and built-up areas. Infiltration was happening, intelligence was coming day in and day out. But from 20th January 2015 till I would put, if I remember the date correctly, it was around 10th August that in my brigade operationals room, I was conducting a conference of all my COs and 9 para team commander कि अब तकरीबन 8 महीने हो गए हैं, ना हमने एक गोली फायर की है, ना टेररिस्ट ने एक गोली फायर की है, क्या चल रहा है? So everybody gave his presentation of how we are doing it, how we are doing. We analyzed our operations threadbare, and somehow I was personally convinced that we are doing our best. We are planning our tactics correctly. We are deploying our troops correctly. We are operating correctly. So I had no complaints as far as these issues were concerned. Only thing which was baffling me was कि तकरीबन 8 महीने हो गए, एक भी गोली क्यों नहीं फायर की, ना हमने ना टेररिस्ट ने.
कुछ हो क्यों नहीं रहा है?
टेररिस्ट गायब हो या हम कुछ गलत कर रहे हैं. तो एक कमांडिंग ऑफिसर खड़े होके, तब तक वो मेरे से खुल गए थे, सेम कमांडिंग ऑफिसर्स थे. दे न्यू हाउ आई tackle things or how I am handling, things at my brigade. He said, sir, I was asking them for suggestions. What can we do differently? So he says, sir, one thing you can do differently is you can give little bit more danda. आप डंडे का मतलब समझते हैं सर? तो so we all laughed. I said, ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हो? कहते सर, आप सिर्फ सब ठीक है, लेकिन आप डांटते नहीं हो, डंडा नहीं देते. So now it is, we can't change ourselves overnight when we become a CO or a brigade. Everybody has his own style of functioning. My style over the years was, and by the time I became a brigade commander, I had whatever enough service. My style was, if I was confident that my troops of my units were doing their jobs 100% and little more, and if they were doing it sincerely, as long as the planning was right, as long as the focus was correct, as long as they were telling me the truth, there is no way I can pull them up just because they are not giving me the results. And I can't set deadlines that मेरे को कल तक रिजल्ट नहीं दिया तो मैं आपकी ऐसी की तैसी कर दूंगा. That is not in my style. Somebody may have that style and it may work for somebody. So probably this is exactly what I told those CEOs. I told them, this is the way I function. I have absolute faith that आप मेरे को, you're not fooling me. आप सब मेहनत बिल्कुल फोकस तरीके से कर रहे हो. ये बताओ अपनी प्लानिंग में, आर वी डूइंग एनी मिस्टेक्स, आर वी डूइंग एनी टेक्टिकल एरर्स और स्ट्रेटेजिक एरर्स, और आर वी गोइंग एब्सोल्युटली रॉन्ग समवेयर. So the long and short of it was, we realized that शायद ऐसा गलती तो कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, maybe we will keep on trying. Believe me, between exactly 2 weeks after this conference, when it had been 8 months and we had not fired a round, single bullet, either they or us, 22nd August onwards till 11th September, hardly any time, about 2-3 weeks bhi nahi, we had 5 major operations back to back. 14 terrorists were eliminated by 4 different units in 5 different operations. Unfortunately, we lost 1 soldier in one, 2 soldiers in one, and 1 soldier in one. So we lost 4 soldiers, but we got 14 terrorists. And when I'm talking this, during my first 8 months tenure, there was a corps commander in the valley. to whom we could not give any success. But when he was handing over to the next corps commander, is the time when this first operation happened. And during this new corps commander's time, the second I saw, in his first 14 days, these 5 operations happened. And his first visit to us, to the sector, when I briefed him, other than my briefing, there were 5 parties lined up for Shabashi by the corps commander for 5 different operations. You are aware that when success happens, senior officers for a visit and a Shabashi to the troops. So, what I'm trying to explain is, see how times change. हर चीज का एक समय होता है. हमने कोई we didn't devise rocket science suddenly and suddenly something happened, or neither did I give a rocket to the COs because COs requested for it. I didn't give any rocket, but suddenly success came our way, and we felt like we were on top of the world. And naturally there was shabashi all over, back to back 5 operations, and all in the same sector. What is happening? But then exactly 2 weeks later, there was an operation where there was an infiltrating group, and one of our ambushes had a contact in the Hafruda forest. Missed contact, the terrorists ran down a slope. Some of these brave boys of this ambush ran after them in Josh. Unfortunately for us, these terrorists had hid themselves, and these boys ran into them, and that firefight resulted in loss of all these 4 boys of mine. And these terrorists got away. And one of the weapons of the terrorist was lying with one of my martyrs, and his weapon the terrorist had taken. So you can imagine how गुत्थम गुत्था की लड़ाई हफड़ा हुई होगी ये जब 4 शहीद हुए मेरे जवान. Now see how the tide changes. On one day we were wondering as to why nothing is happening, and then back to back 2 weeks we have 5 encounters, and we feel like on top of the world. And exactly 2 weeks later, the corps commander has a visit now again to my sector the second time. This time we are discussing how could things go so wrong, and we lost 4. So these are life lessons for those who are listening, that is how it is. That is how reality strikes. When you have a success and when you face a reversal, you just can't say. You have to maintain your stability and maintain your wits about yourself. That is important to overcome such situations. So when this happened, I was given a helicopter, and I reached that company operating base which was nearest to this encounter site. So I distinctly remember from that day. Of course, the corps commander visited the next day in the morning to listen to my briefing and see as to what we are planning. We had about 100 different small teams operating in that entire forest for the next 10 days. And for 9 days and 9 nights, I did not return to my base, which was many kilometers away, so that I could control this operation, coordinate, and try to find out as to where did these terrorists disappear after causing so much of damage to us. It was on the 6th day that we got our first contact again with this group, thanks to our coordinated effort of the entire sector, 100 small teams. We flooded the forest with our boys. So it was the 6th day when we had a contact. 7th day, we turned that contact into a success. We got 1 terrorist out of this group of 5 which had infiltrated and caused so much of damage to us. The others again managed to escape and shift base in an adjoining forest, but we continued the operation for 3 more days. Then that operation was called off. I fell back to my base. A month and a half later, there was another operation. We continued to develop intelligence on this particular group. We again got a lead, and once again we got a success, and we could eliminate 2 more of this group. So to some extent we could take revenge, so-called, of the losses that we suffered. So what I'm trying to bring out is that it is very important to follow the Bhagavad Gita philosophy, which I have tried to do not be too exhilarated in praise or in success. You should be too depressed when you are low, or where there is criticism, or where there is a so-called reversal. So कर्म पे ध्यान रखो, कर्म ही धर्म है, तो करो तो खुश रहोगे, चिंता नहीं रहेगी, और ऑपरेशंस में भी अच्छा काम होगा, और हर जगह अच्छा काम होगा. मींस it need not be just a lesson for the armed forces, but that's the way it goes. And you know, in the army there is a saying that a unit is as good as its last operation. Sir, you will understand. So in my sector, I saw this live example where on 16th September, when we were briefing our corps commander, we were as good as those 14 kills and 5 back-to-back successes. And come 7th October, and we had a reversal and we lost 4 boys. So we were as good as last bad operation. And that's the way it is.
And that's, Brigadier Ranade, that's the life. That's the life. It is the life is all ups and downs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even the straight line tells you are a dead man.
Absolutely.
ECG has to be ups and down, otherwise it can't be a straight line.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
So this is the
other good, I'll not call it an anecdote, an experience which I would like to share about the brigade command was, you will recollect, sir, Uri attacks happened. 2016 we are talking. And few days after Uri attack, the surgical strikes happened, successful surgical strikes by us. So that is the time when I was a brigade commander there, 2015, 16, 17. So we were all absolutely prepared for various contingencies. And soon, a day or 2 days after the successful surgical strikes by Indian Special Forces against the adversary, LET Chief Hafiz Saeed came on air, and it was there in the media कि सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक क्या होते हैं ये हम हिंदुस्तान को हम दिखाएंगे, आपने तो जो किया है वो इट इज अ फेक सो कॉल्ड, दैट इज व्हाट दे ट्राई टू. तो हम दिखाएंगे आपको सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक क्या होते हैं. See, in the army, as it is, we are always prepared for any contingency. So while in Kashmir, all our COBs were always prepared to tackle a possible Fidayeen attack. We used to train ourselves for it. But when this happened, and things were hot that time, and we had gone in and done surgical strikes, our special forces. And when Hafiz Saeed said this, I told my COs that be prepared, very soon something big is going to happen somewhere, and we are right behind the LC. We have to be on our toes. Let us once again refine our anti-Fidayeen drills, because something big is going to happen. So if I remember correctly, Hafiz Saeed's this media clip came on 29th or 30th September. 2nd, 3rd October night 2016, the first attempted Fidayeen happened. This didn't happen in my sector. It happened somewhere near Baramulla, on a army RR unit, and it had a combined BSF post also. If I remember correctly, 2 or 3 terrorists were there. One got eliminated, others got away, and one BSF soldier died in this exchange of fire. But it was a kind of a unsuccessful Fidayeen, should I call it, but partly successful, because one BSF Jawan died, one terrorist died there itself, and others ran away. We had coordinated things to such an extent that we had even practiced illuminating our area of interest if required from neighboring posts and from the same post at night if required. And absolutely everybody was prepared. And this is 2nd, 3rd October we are talking. And 6th October, exactly 1 year after that big reversal that I spoke of, 2015, when I lost 4 Jawans of another RR unit. Early morning, 6th October, 5 o'clock, I get a ring from CO of this other RR unit. That's a encounter has started. We are being fired at post number 13. Now, post number 13 was the least expected area of this particular unit's battalion headquarters post. Coincidentally, it was post number 13. But it was not unlucky for us. It turned out to be lucky for us. Being a place where we were least expecting it, this used to be manned by the administrative platoon of that unit, because you require manpower. So at that point in time, a washerman was on duty at that post, not a trained general duty. And after the Burhan Wani incident, with lot of things flaring up in the valley, we also had an infantry unit as an add-on given to us to strengthen our ROPs, etc., which was besides this battalion headquarters. So they were also stationed there. So this being the least likely place, we had the administrative platoon of the RR unit, and the buddy pair was from this infantry unit. So look at this combination. One boy was an infantry Jawan, not part of this RR unit, temporarily there. The other was a washerman. But thanks to this, all-inclusive effort of everybody applying his mind, not a one-man show, the drills were set. They detected that something is happening. There are 3 of them who are closing in, and they opened fire on them. The firefight continued, but this group had come to do a fidain on this battalion headquarters. Thanks to these 2 sentries and then the combined reaction and actions by the whole unit. In fact, the CO entered this post number 13 to be with his boys. And I've shared this photo with you, sir. You can see the post top is of tin sheet. Okay. And there are bullet holes in this because these terrorists were firing upslope. Post number 13. Post number 13 was firing down. They were very close to the fence. They could have breached the fence had they not been neutralized. But thanks to the leadership of the CO and these boys, they eliminated them. And this was the first time. So finally the terrorists were eliminated? All 3 were eliminated. Okay. And it was a failed fidain, and we didn't have a scratch to any of our boys. The quadcopters were new in 2016 in the Rashtriya Rifles. In fact, we had only 1 in our entire sector, and we had just finished with the training. It was with the neighboring unit. We got the quadcopter to this unit with that trained team. We used it. Because of the foliage, we couldn't spot as to exactly how many were there and what is their present situation. With the quadcopter, because of the 3-dimensional view from top, we could see that all 3 are now lying dead, and there are 3 of them. And then we approached them and cleared the thing. So within about an hour's time, by the time it was first light and a little, add another half an hour, everything was clear. And attempted fidain on similar lines like what had happened in Uri was foiled completely by good drills, motivated boys, well led from the front by the commanding officer. So, but this commanding officer and those washermen, this unit was part of your brigade only? Absolutely. So the washerman got a Sena Medal gallantry for his action. And infantry boy got a Shaurya Chakra for this action. Of course, the CO has done extremely well. He will soon be a brigadier. He's about to take over a brigade. Good. Yeah. Good. But as I said, the washerman and this infantry boy deserved it, and they did a great job. They hold on to the 3 jokers. Fantastic. So this is the kind of experience it was. Yes, very, very interesting times. Absolutely, absolutely. And I can understand that since you had a very long tenure as a brigadier, on that too commanding 5 units, means RR and plus 1 9 para. So here one thing which I would like to ask you. You were ex-10 para, means then commanding this brigade, and 9 para under your command. बहुत लोग पूछते हैं 9 versus 10. What would you like to say? I can say this with absolute certainty that the team which was with me for those 2.5 years of 9 para, they did a commendable job. Fantastic job. In fact, during that tenure, for the operations that this team did in 7th sector, they got 1 Ashok Chakra posthumous, 1 Kirti Chakra, 3 Shaurya Chakras, and if I remember correctly, 3 Sena medals, all by one team. So they were a big part of our success in 7th sector. They did a fantastic job. I was there to support them. They are absolutely the best in mountains.
Yeah.
They have tremendous experience over the years. They've stayed here. Absolutely the best.
Kirti Chakra is the one that Colonel CO was there. Was he there?
No, Subedar Mohinder Singh. I've
Acha.
seen your interaction with him.
Okay.
Subedar Mohinder Singh. In
Oh,
fact,
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
him.
Acha, he was that time under your this thing. Oh,
Yes, absolutely. And even Mohan Goswami, the posthumous Ashok Chakra awardee, he
okay.
died in that same, or he was killed in action in that same operation
Okay.
where Mahinder was injured. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It was a wonderful operation by 9. Unfortunately, it is one of those things when bullets fly at such high speeds. Sometimes good tactically sound operations also you can suffer some losses, some reversals.
Mohinder Singh is nicknamed as a wall of mountain.
Yeah, he was very, very good, absolutely. And despite his serious injuries, in fact, when his CASEVAC was happening, there was a UAV which was flying over this encounter site, and we were getting live feed in my sector headquarters.
Oh.
So my memory is very distinct. I've seen, because he was so badly hurt in his spine, he came side rolling down the slope.
Yeah.
I still remember the HHTI thermal camera of the UAV was picking up because we evacuated him in a Caspir, the 9 para team. So we were getting live feed in our sector headquarters.
He has spoken about that in my podcast.
Yes, I am aware.
Yeah. What a brave story is Brigadier Ranade. Matlab, it's a humble anybody who listen that and give lot of inspiration to know about this. Though I am a uniform person, but every time I hear these stories, I get goosebumps, and I really feel proud of every one of you. That yes, and even my viewers. In fact, I tell you, my viewers have got much more insight into what happens with the para special forces, and their questions come so brilliant question they ask, because they listen to every word of any story from any officer of special forces or otherwise army officers, and they have gathered a lot of knowledge. Sometimes my guest may not be aware, I may not be aware, but they are aware because they are watching everything. So, Brigadier Ranade, jate, what would you like to say to the people who are watching it? How the life is all about?
Sir, I would like to sum it up by saying a few things about the army. Now, so life in the army, as they say, is not just a profession; it is a way of life. All of us know it. It is like it's become like a saying now, very famous. I think even those in the CV street or likely candidates for armed forces would be knowing that life in the army is not just a profession; it is a way of life. It is leadership at its best. Everywhere else, you will get managerial roles, you will manage logistics, you will manage inventories, you will manage policies, you will manage HR resources also, human beings also, men and women. But the way you get opportunities to lead men and women in the army or in the armed forces, there is no match to it. Especially because the stakes are very high, and stakes are life and death, as I shared some of the examples. Because incorrect decision made intentionally or unintentionally can prove very, very costly, including losing lives. And stakes are very high because there are no runners up. There is either a winner and the other one is a loser. It is not that there is a class of 50 people, everybody passes out, and the first 10 are high in merit, the others are not. Either you win or you lose, as again I shared some examples. So those, there was a very famous advertisement of the army to ask those who are interested in the army, do you have it in you?
Yeah.
Those candidates, those boys and girls who have it in them are most welcome to try their luck with the armed forces. What is that it? It is those officer-like qualities which the armed forces or the army, to be particular, since I am from army, look for. Courage, intellect, intelligence, reasoning ability, initiative, adaptability. Uh,
Integrity.
there are so many qualities. So many of us don't know whether we have these qualities or not. But if you feel from inside that, yes, I want to do something different than routine life, routine career. Uh, we are a 1.3 million army. There are about 40 odd thousand officers serving in the army. Every year there are 500 to 600 vacancies for young officers to join, men and women both. So most welcome. Try it out. It's a wonderful profession. One can derive a lot of satisfaction from what you do in various roles in the various departments or branches or verticals of the armed forces. We need motivated men and women to join the armed forces. The country needs them. And I have absolutely no doubt that the country has no dearth of such talent and such motivated candidates. So what little words I'm saying, I'm basically targeting them. Other fields, civil, street, various professions, there's a lots to learn from the armed forces. These life lessons can be adapted anywhere. These cues can be taken for any kind of profession. So if I have said something which is of any value to any of those who log in and see this, interaction of ours with Kal Raghav, mine with Kal Raghav, you must most welcome to take cues from whatever little experiences I have shared. That's all from my side, sir, and all the very best to your viewers and your channel.
Brigadier Ranade, let me tell you, it's the longest ever podcast I have recorded, and because you had such a wonderful experiences to share, whether it is special forces or your RR experiences as a CO as well as a sector commander, or your experience of abroad with foreign armies, Siachen, anything which you have shared is immense value. In fact, uh, 30, 40 years of service with the armed forces, it's a very rich experience. It's an invaluable experience. And I'm sure that viewers and listeners, whosoever will watch this, will definitely get benefited from this. And I really extend my gratitude and thanks to you for being my guest and sharing your wonderful experience with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking such an initiative and doing what you're doing on the YouTube. I've now been able to see a few of your, podcasts. I see the number of views it gets. So certainly, the society at large is benefiting from this. May the Almighty be with you and your channel. May many more benefit in time to come. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
Good
so
day.
much. Thank you.